the garden picking fresh dill so that we can make dill pickles. And I got a couple of cucumbers. We're actually not going to pickle the ones I picked today because I want them to chill first, but I have a 5-gallon bucket that's, it's not completely full by any means, but there's a lot of cucumbers in it. So we're gonna go ahead and go down there and make up some brine and get ready to can some pickles. Yay! All right, I'm gonna pick off these tops that are starting to go to seed, starting to flower, because I don't want them to go to seed yet. I want them to continue to bush out and get bigger rather than go to seed and try to reproduce, because that's what they will do. They want to reproduce. It's their natural cycle. So I'm just gonna do this, and I'm gonna also pick off sprigs like this, and I'm just getting a bunch. There's not really any science to my method. I'm just picking them, and then hopefully we'll have, well, you should have plenty, but I don't really measure it. I just put a lot in my brine, so hopefully it's plenty. I would rather go overboard with the dill than under with it, because I'd rather have too much flavor than not enough flavor. I'm not good at spotting. I get very unbalanced. So I'm just gonna pick a bunch and put it in my little basket here, and then we'll take it down and start making some brine. All right, we picked our dill, and then we came down and we prepped everything. I didn't record prepping everything because it's just kind of a lot of stuff going on, so we just got it ready for you, but I'll tell you what I did. I will tell you the recipe I'm using. It is, the ratio of vinegar to water is very important. You want at least 50% water, 50% vinegar. Hang on, baby, don't tap, I'm trying to record. If your vinegar is at least 5% acidity. So if it's less than that, most vinegars are going to be 5%. If it's less than that, you're going to have to up your vinegar. So my recipe itself is probably, I didn't find it in a technically USDA certified recipe. So you want to check, ball recipes are all approved by USDA. So you just want to make sure you're doing things safely so nobody gets sick that you feed your pickles to. So my recipe is 50% vinegar, 50% water. I think we did 3, so it's a 1-to-1 ratio. We did 3 quarts. Is that right? Yeah. Okay. We did 3 quarts of water and 3 quarts of vinegar, and then we added 1 1/4 cups of pink Himalayan salt. If you use a different type of salt, you might want to dial that back a little bit. I find the pink Himalayan salt doesn't have as much of a, it's not quite as salty as other salts, so it takes a little bit more. But anyway, so that's what we did, and then I added 2 or 3 tablespoons of dry dill to my brine. I'm not one that measures things. Usually I just kind of guess and throw it together, other than I make sure my vinegar and water ratio is proper, because I don't want anybody to get sick. So that's what I've done. In my jars, each jar I have put a dozen peppercorns, and then I've taken 2 cloves of garlic and quartered them just so they release more flavor. Put them in the bottom, and then just that much dill. I don't know if you guys can see that. You see that? It's just fresh dill from the garden. So I just put a little bit in there. It's not a ton, but it smells really, really good. So at this point, you can do your pickles however you want them done. Your cucumbers, you can do them whole, you can do them spears, you can do them as chips or whatever. I like to do spears. It just seems to work well for us. I've had my cucumbers in this saltwater bath in the cooler for several days. Some of them just since yesterday. Some of them are probably 5-ish days. So I'm just cutting mine into spears, and I'm just going to start sticking them in my jar. And I'm just going to pack these jars really full. Alright, so I have these ready, and something I wanted to mention was when I get picked cucumbers to pickle, I prep them by, when I take them off the vine, I bring them down, I cut off the blossom end so that the enzymes stop working, because that will make you have mushier pickles. So I cut that off, Then I put them straight as whole cucumbers into a ice cold salt water bath. I don't have an exact ratio of salt. I just put a bunch of water and a bunch of salt. So I put that in the refrigerator, or we have a walk-in cooler. Put that in there, and I keep adding to it every day as I pick, and it will stay. It'll keep your pickles crisp and fresh for up to 7 days. So I do that, and then when I'm ready to do my pickles, I go ahead and cut them up and put them into the jars like this. I will say that you want to use pickling cucumbers. This year I did not actually grow pickling cucumbers. I'm not really sure how that happened. All we have is slicers, but I'm picking them pretty small. A couple of them were bigger and I cut them in half. But pickling cucumbers have smaller seeds and just stay firmer. They're better for pickling. There's a reason why they're slicing cucumbers than pickling cucumbers. But it's what I have, so it's what I'm going to use. I've pickled with all kinds of cucumbers and they're all good. It's just the pickling types just are a little more firm and do a little better with pickling. But I got enough to do 5 quarts. We're going to water bath these. I'm going to put the brine in. So I have these 2 quarts left over. I'm just going to set them aside, stick them in the fridge so that the dill and the garlic doesn't get anything funky going on with it. I'll probably put lids on them. And then in a couple days when I'm ready to do more, I'll have 2 jars ready to go because we'll have more to do in a couple days. I'm going to put my brine in here and my leftover brine, because I have a pot full to here. I'll have leftover brine. What I'm going to do with my leftover brine is just put it in the refrigerator and save it, because it'll last. It's, you know, it's pickling brine. It's going to last in the fridge for quite a while. So I'm just going to put it in the fridge, and then next time we can warm it up and we'll be ready to fill jars. All right. Ciao. This is a massive ladle. I haven't actually used it. Derek got it for me, and it is a 1 quart. It's a 1 quart? Yeah, 1 quart ladle. So it's huge. It's, yeah, we'll see how it goes. I want to stir this around a little bit because like all the dill is on the top, so I don't want to get like all my dill in one jar. We're gonna see how it pours. Funnel actually has a handle I could hold it by. Alright, I am just gonna have to brag. That ladle was awesome. I mean, usually you're taking a little ladle and dumping like multiple times into your jar. No, that was great. Okay, I'm excited about it, so put it back in there. I have my little canning tool. I don't really know what you call this thing, but I just run it. Oops, I'm gonna pull my pickles out. I just kind of run it around the sides just to get any air bubbles out, anything that can cause you any issues with your canning, your sealing and all that. So they want to jump out. And I didn't pack these super tight. I mean, they look a little tight probably in the camera, but they're not like, they're just in there firmly, but they're not like packed tight. All right, so we have our jars packed and they look really pretty. Now, when you use a salt that's oh, careful, like a pink salt or a real salt or whatever, you're gonna have, it's not gonna be like dissolved crystal clear like if you use a white salt. But it does pretty good, and I don't really care because I'm not trying to win an award at a fair. I'm just trying to make yummy food for my family. So they look really pretty, and I'm going to get my lids on here, and then we'll get ready to go can them.
You're on.
All right, so now my jars are ready to be lidded. I'm gonna take just a dry rag. You can take a wet rag if you want and just wipe the rim just to make sure there's no debris, because if there's any debris, then you won't get a seal. And also you wanna check for any kind of chips in your glass. I've already checked these jars over, they're pretty good, but I am gonna wipe them. And you don't want, if you have any kind of chipping on your rim, then you won't get a seal either. And you probably don't want something with chipped glass with your food, because that could be bad. All right, I've got sanitized lids and rings, and I'm just gonna put them on. Put this on finger tight, I don't tighten it too much. We're going to take these in, and what we're doing is we're going to do the low temperature pasteurization method of canning rather than a hot water. I mean, it's a hot water bath, but rather than a boiling water canning. So the difference is when you do low temperature pasteurization, you don't get your water to boiling. You heat it to 180 degrees, and you have to hold it between 180 and 185 for 30 minutes. You don't want to let it drop below that, because if you drop below, you have to start your timer back over once you get it back to temperature, which then defeats the purpose because you're going to end up with mushy pickles. But keeping it at the 180 degrees for 30 minutes pasteurizes the pickles rather than cooking them through, so then it makes them safe. I can't talk and do this at the same time, obviously. So there we go. I'm like, I can't get that one on. So we're gonna put these in, and we're gonna get them canned, and then hopefully when they're done and pull them out, we hear that beautiful ping sound. All right, we finished processing these in the canner. I've heard 2 of them ping so far. Hopefully we'll hear another 3 pretty soon. I think we will. That went really well. We got them out. They're gonna sit like this overnight, and then in the morning I will pull the rings off. That way, oh, did you hear it? I heard it. I don't know if you guys heard it. I store them without the rings on, because you can actually end up with a false seal. So a can unseal and then reseal with the ring on it. But if it doesn't have a ring on it, there's nothing holding it down, so it can't possibly reseal. It's just one of those safety things. Plus, we reuse our rings for other jars. So if they're all on jars, then I won't have them for my other jars I need to do. But anyway, thanks for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this. If you're not already subscribed to our channel, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button. And if you hit the notification bell, you'll be notified every time we upload a video. Give us a thumbs up, and YouTube will know that you're enjoying what you see. And comment below. Let me know what you're canning, what you think of this recipe, or just, I don't know, just what's going on with you. And I'll catch you guys next time.